You're listening to Big Blend Radio with Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith, the mother-daughter travel team and publishers of BigBlendMagazines.com. Of course, you can see that all at BigBlendMagazines.com. And on this segment, we're excited to chat with actor, director, and composer Jeffrey Bihr. And you just heard Street of Whimsy. It's a short orchestration that he composed to accompany his painting, Street of Whimsy.
I love it.
And you need to go to his website and look at his paintings and listen to the music. It is, you could just spend a day looking, going through this virtual gallery. His website is jbihr.faso.com. So it's jbihr.faso.com. Please connect with him there and have a look at his beautiful work. Jeffrey, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm absolutely fine. I'm just lovely up here in outside Ithaca, where all the leaves are turning from green to gold and brown and purple. It's just gorgeous. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean, we're out here in Tucson. We actually have some areas that we've got those colors shining through. It's just a little different. Sometimes it's even on the cactus fruit change colors, so it's a different thing. But it sounds to me like you're in that iconic, those ideas that we have in our mind of what, serious fall looks like. I know you were based in San Francisco, and that's where our mutual friend Craig Engen, I know, met you and knows you from there and speaks very highly of you and introduced us. So thank you, Craig. I got to give him a shout out. But you were based in San Francisco for many years. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I was born and raised in San Francisco and still have a fondness for that city, but kind of has become untenable for artists, teachers, firefighters, policemen, etc. I don't know how anybody affords it there. It's just not, can't do it anymore, Yeah.
That's too bad. It's beautiful there. I love that city.
It's really so beautiful. It's so European, too. So why did you decide
Very
Ithaca?
European. Well, it became, my wife is a French teacher and worked at a private school for 30 years, and she's terrific, and she was making a good salary. I was working at Stanford the last 10 years, and but we couldn't afford a house. We had never bought a house, and we were always renting, and that's fine. We were in Berkeley. We had a beautiful old 1910 house that we were renting, and my landlady, who happened to be in New Jersey, decided to come back home and live there. So she gave us a couple of months leeway or alert, and wow, we started looking, and it's really untenable now. It's just you can't really afford anything under $4,000 a month, or rent or mortgage, even higher, and in bad areas. And so we decided maybe it's time to look elsewhere, because this market has become really insane. So Ithaca, I didn't know anything about Ithaca, but I did know we're both teachers, educators. We both like culture. We both like young people. I didn't want to go completely to the sticks. So I started looking around. How about Seattle? Well, also expensive, also full of traffic. What about Portland? Nice town, got some theater. Also getting expensive. What about going towards the east? What about this city? And suddenly I kind of landed on Ithaca. As soon as I did, suddenly I was like, oh, Jeffrey, you would love Ithaca. I went to Cornell. All my friends, I had a lot of friends and acquaintances that knew about Ithaca, had passed through here or lived here. So I took a plane and flew out here, and I met with the folks, the head of the drama department at Cornell, and she said to me, oh, my gosh, if you get here, she's looking at my resume and talking with me, if you get here, she said, we'll find you work. The same afternoon I met the Ithaca College. They have a terrific drama department, and Catherine Widener said, if you get here, we'll find you work. She said exactly the same thing. I said, that's a good thought. The second day, I looked at 12 houses, and the third day, I put an offer on one of the houses, a beautiful, beautiful house, only 14 years old, which is unusual for this area because it was settled a long while ago, and there are a lot of older houses. And it's just a stunningly gorgeous house. And then I was on the plane, or going to the airport, actually, on the fourth day, and I got a phone call from the real estate agent, said, your offer has been accepted. And that's how fast it went. Boom, boom, boom. This house that I'm living in has 50 acres of pristine woods connected with it.
Oh.
So,
okay, wait a minute.
That's it. We're moving in.
I know. Do you need any, roommates?
Come on out. One of the things we decided is that we would do a little Airbnb business on the side, because the house is so lovely and so it wants people. And right now it's just myself and my wife. We left our daughter back in Santa Cruz, where she's finished school and moving on to her career. But we just thought we want to share it. And so we've had people from India and from Korea and from China, and we have people in, and I cook for them, have a gorgeous kitchen and a huge stove. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning here. And there's no way I could have afforded a tenth of this in the Bay Area. It's just over. So we're very, very, very happy. But a very big move, very big shift.
When things like this just happens, when it just all connects like that, it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be, So this is interesting about all the different forms of art that you are part of, the stage and screen, music, visual arts and painting. And there's such light and movement. And I feel like, I love the fact that you're writing music to go with your paintings. It's something Nancy and I have been wanting to do for years with her artwork. And I was a songwriter, and we kept going like, okay, I could put poetry. How do we do this? And then I'm like, look, Jeffrey did it, and it's awesome.
Now I'm thinking you could take your paintings and fade one into another with the music and make a video, and then we could watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, please
do it.
Okay.
I'm addicted to watching YouTube videos that we make on our television.
But it's just
it's so because
anyone.
It's big.
Yeah.
And so you could see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you're like, wow, look what we did.
Yeah. No, there is something magical about that you really do capture life. One of the paintings I really love is Blues Man, and I love that music. That's my alley there. And there's just this, you get this emotion, this story starts, you look at the painting and you're already like, this is what this guy's doing. This is what's going through his mind, and then you have the music, and it's like, wow, this is this experience that you're creating. Does that come from being in theater and working the stage and screen?
I think so. I'm an artist first. I mean, I just say that in the general term. To be perfectly honest and frank about this, because this is what this should be about. I'm only 2.5 years old as a drawer and a painter. I never drew anything in my life before. I never painted a lick before I moved here. I'm 2.5, so I call myself a baby painter. I'm 2.5 years old. I do know how to write music because I taught myself that, and I spent my life in the theater in terms of acting and directing. The theater, of course, is an amazing conglomeration of many art forms, including music, including props, set, light, costumes, and then, of course, the written and spoken word, and then everything and all the emotional aspects of how human beings demonstrate what they need from each other. All of that, and then there are, of course, many, many styles, from the Greeks to Molière to Shakespeare, who's a style unto himself, to the turn of the last century playwrights, to modern playwrights, postmodern. There's so many different things. So living and breathing and in that world, and I really had a terrific career. I would literally go into the theater usually at 10 a.m. in the morning, often working on a composition for a play that I was doing, and then at 1 or so I would have a rehearsal for a play that I was in, 1 to 5 maybe, and then I would take a dinner break, and then I would play in the evening another play that, the rep company, I was connected with Berkeley Repertory Theater for 7 or 8 seasons, and ACT when I was teaching there for 7 years, and Drama Studio London, and just to breathe in all of those kind of different art forms, I say, it makes one an artist, makes one live and breathe and have a kind of perception of a holistic idea of what it means to be an artist. And when I taught, of course, I worked in the theater and I taught actors and I was teaching acting, but I was never really interested in teaching acting. I was interested in teaching people how to be artists who happen to work on the stage. So when I moved here, the theater here isn't really happening for me for a moment, which is just fine since I spent so many decades with it. So I thought, what else can I do? You know what? Let me buy some paints. let me see what if I put some color on canvas, what happens? And I started doing that. And I'm an autodidact. I really like, when I get into something, I go fairly deep. So I've taken about 60 books out of the library on painting, and I've studied the masters, and I look at it every day. I take it very seriously. I paint every single day. And I'm looking at demonstration stuff. I'm looking at videos. I'm going to museums. I just came back from New York, going to the MoMA and going to a brilliant, beautiful museum out there as well. And I keep flooding my senses with painters who know what they're doing, and then I keep working on technique and working on stuff and trying to paint what I feel, and not to get too technical. Maybe this is going on too long, this monologue I'm doing, but so please interrupt me at any time. But there's certainly techniques involved with all of this stuff that I'm woefully behind on because I'm only 2 years old. So I need to learn the techniques. At the same time, I have to abandon the techniques because I know from my musical improvisation and musical stuff, I know from theater, I know from directing, things have to be precise and exact in terms of the technique at hand and what you're doing in terms of if you're working on a comedy or working on a serious piece. And at the same time, there must be an abandonment and a laissez-faire. There must be a freedom where you let the rules go, because that's where, in the middle of those things, is where art lives.
Yes, it's true. You need to know the rules so you can break them.
Yeah, you have to know the scales.
Yeah.
It's true. You have to know the rules so that you know which one to break and when to break it.
And that's how you create your own signature style.
Yeah.
That's how you become you and what you create, not somebody else. I know as a singer, I learned how to sing a lot from, I did do some classes, but what really, I listened to what resonated, like the blues and things like that. And so I would practice covers and just really practice them till I knew everything. But I was learning breathing techniques and timing and dynamics. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't ever want to do another cover again. It's all me. I was like, I'm breaking free, baby. And then all of a sudden your stage performance changes from night and day. I mean, it just is. Suddenly that's when you get this confidence. And I think you have to do that technical side, because that's one question I wanted to ask you was, sometimes in art there's that moment of being free, of having your independence, and that's art to me, is independence and integrity with that, and doing exactly what you want. But sometimes there's a fear. I think there's stage fright, right? So do you think that's where it is, that you have to get the background, do your knowledge first, your techniques, so that you don't have that fear?
I don't see it exactly like that. But absolutely, the more technique that you have, the freer you can become. That's true. But if I were teaching somebody to act, and I have done a lot of that, there's definitely techniques that you want to impart, and there's definitely kind of a roadmap that a lot of actors have taken that are kind of shortcuts. On the other hand, I want if I'm going to take you on as an actor, I want you to get up on I want you to get up right in front of me right now, and I want you to read something. Read out loud. Read. Go. Just go. And there's a kind of like, oh my God, well, I don't know anything. Well, yeah, yes you do. You're a human being. You know how to speak and you know how to read. So read. And then we'll just go from there. So suddenly you're in it. You're already in it. You don't know any technique, but you're already doing it.
Jump.
So I think there's something to be said for that as well. I'll tell you something else. That I was in the middle of a class I was teaching at ACT. I worked at American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. It's a very big theater, very professional. And I was working with the MFA students. These are students who have been through high school theater, university theater, graduate, and they all want careers in the theater. And it's a 3-year training program from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, pretty much every day. It's really rigorous. And I was in the middle of teaching something, and I said the word technique, and one of the students interrupted me and said, hey, Bihr, what do you mean by technique? And I stopped for a second. I thought, well, that's a good question. All right, technique. And I got this image, and it stayed with me, so I'll share it with you. I said, suppose you were going to build a trampoline. Okay, so you're going to build a trampoline, and you're going to put it in this room here. Okay, well, you have to decide what measurements you want the trampoline to be. Will it fit in the room, and is the ceiling high enough? Okay, you get that done. Then you measure it. Then you've got to really think about the foundation. You're going to build it out of wood. You're going to build it out of metal. What is going to hold that thing together down on the ground? Build your foundation, and it must be strong. It must be sturdy. You got that. Good. Now you have to figure out, what's the netting? What are you going to use? Hemp, rope, cloth, nylon? What's the? All right, you decide that. What's the warp, the woof, the weave? How are you going to string that together? You got it? Good. Now, how are you going to attach that to the foundation? Because with springs, you've got to make that really secure. You got it? It's done. There's your trampoline. Wait a minute. I'm going to put a coat of paint on it. What color do you want? Put that on. Shine it up. Position it in the room. There it is. You're done. There's your trampoline. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's technique. It's dead. The whole purpose of it is for you to get on it and begin to do tricks on it and to fly in the air above it. And if you have put your energy in a really clear and focused way into your trampoline, you will be surer and surer, and you'll be able to bounce higher and higher and do ever more involved and beautiful tricks, because that's what it's for.
I like that.
Well, I was going to say, I hope it's a high ceiling room, because I feel a head injury coming.
I have to be outside in the woods for that one, so I can swing on a tree from it. I want to jump and swing on it. There is something cool, magical about that. But I love that you can fly from that, from that foundation. I love that.
But, you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time you take your car out.
Exactly.
And so it's kind of like other people have been there, done this, experimented, done this, and you can make use of knowledge.
That's right. That's
so you can expand on it.
Right.
I mean, if you start from square one, it's like, okay, I'm going to make a cake. Oh, gosh, now I have to figure out how to build a bowl.
No. For me, I have to figure out how not to burn the house down. So this is interesting, too. When I want to go back to your visual work here, your visual arts, your paintings. Now, when you paint, do you have like a habit of playing music? Do you drink wine and eat cheese? I mean, do you have a view? Tell us about your process. How do you like to enjoy the process and put a painting together?
I put music on almost all the time. There's music going almost all the time when I'm painting, and sometimes so much so that I'm moving my brush along with the rhythm of the music that I'm playing. Yeah, and I really get that's important to me, to have a soundscape. Sometimes I paint in silence for a bit of time, but most of the time there's music on. I have a dedicated space downstairs of my house, and a little basement, and it's wonderful because I have my sound studio there and all of my music and musical instruments, and then I have a painting easel, and well lit, and and all my equipment is there, all my materials, so it's ready to go at any time. And of course, it's a French easel, so I can pack it up, take it upstairs, pack it up, take it outside, etc. So, but I often paint in the basement. But when it gets too dark in the winter, like last winter, I brought it upstairs and painted more in natural light. But I'm always have music on. I usually paint for 2 or 3 hours at a time. Then I take a break. Then I'll come back to it. Often I will take a break and just do something else for 10 minutes just to absolutely knock it out of my head, and then come back and look at it. And look at it again and say, is this working? What's working? What does it need? What's going on? Let me work on this for a moment. I generally work on almost all parts of the painting at the same time. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, generally so. I don't spend a lot of detailed time working on one little area before I move to the next. Although with landscape painting, it does help to work on the elements that are farther away. And then work on the elements that are coming closer. Lots of people work dark to light. I've done that. Some people work light to dark. I haven't tried that so much, but it's kind of mysterious. I don't know how to talk about it too much because I'm, again, very young at it, and I haven't gone to school for it, so I don't really know a lot of the technical terminology of what I'm doing. I just really want to marry. I want my paintings to be obvious, like, okay, that's a blues man, that's a street, that's a landscape, that's this, but I don't want it to look photographic. I want it to be obvious what it is, but it's not a photograph. It has to have a painterly quality. It has to be free.
It's kind of realistic, but it's like part of like partially realism, but it's not impressionistic. It's almost like, you know, when I saw it, it's very more of that.
Very much impressionistic.
Yeah, and I love that because it gives you a feeling and it allows people to run their creativity. So that's where I think it becomes an experience, because when everything is 100% photographic. You know, and I love photographs, and I photograph, and yet I'm like weird about it, where I don't want everything to be like, here's the exact close-up of this and that. It has to have this composition. Right. It has to give someone a sense of place to feel what it's like to be there. And I think that's interesting with your work is you want to go up and meet the blues guy. So that's it. We have to play Blues Man. Okay, so everybody take a listen because I love this. It's I love this painting, and I just, everybody take a listen.
My mama done told me, son, don't you ever sing the blues, you leave you crying. Yeah, crying when it just ain't no good. Now my mama done sat me down on her knees, said, son, don't you ever fall in love, she'll leave you crying. Hey, crying. Well, it just ain't no good. don't you ever sing the blues. They'll leave you crying. Whoa, 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 whoa. Crying, but the will, it just ain't no good. No
You're listening to Big Blend Radio with Nancy and Lisa, and artist Jeffrey Bihr is with us, and that was Mama Blues, and so that was Mama Blues from the Blues Man, right? That's his mama he's singing about.
That's right. You got it.
Oh, man, yeah. I love it. So when you look at it, like I said, I love that painting, and I love the song, and to me, I feel like I'm just strolling down that alley. You know, there's something about strolling down the alley, hearing it, playing it. When you see him sitting there with his guitar, is this something? Did you see him in New Orleans or something? Or is there,
I was at a cafe, and there was a book. I think it was a book. I'm going to say now. It was a book of photographs. I don't actually know now. It was a large book, and I was leafing through it, and there was a photograph of a guy sitting with his guitar, similar position, not quite like that, and it just struck me, and I thought, let me sketch that. So I did a little quick sketch of it, and then I took it home and thought about it, and I thought, who is this guy? What is he doing? Maybe he's tuning his guitar. And then I put a hat on him, and then I put a barrel. What does he have with him? Well, he's got his cat. He's got his faithful cat. So I tried to paint a cat, and that's how the painting evolved. It's actually, I guess you would call this a multimedia piece, because there's a couple of first of all, the strings on the guitar are real strings. They're not metal, but they're real strings. I put that on the painting. And there are two pieces of like fragments of posters that are on the wall. One's of an old jazz. That's something that I actually found, reprinted, and distressed, put paint on it and messed it up, and then glued it onto the painting. And there's another piece there that's actually a composition of mine, a jazz composition written out. And I cut that up and distressed it and glued that on the painting as well. And the whole thing looks seamless when you see it. It doesn't look like too multimedia. They're not, the elements are not jumping out, but I guess that's what you call multimedia.
I love that. And you've also got a kitten. You've got to have the blues cat on the barrel. I love the barrel. The barrel's perfect. I love that.
Oh,
and
good.
You know, I love having the jazz poster on there, because it's great that you bring your music in too, you know, and you've got the jazz poster. It reminds me of there's a photographer, Norman Bush, street photographer, and he's been in theater for years too. He's in New York. By the way, you guys should go meet. Yeah, I'll send you his contact information after this. He's so cool.
Oh, wonderful. Please.
For over 50 years. Yeah, he toured. Oh, my gosh. He is, like, amazing. He's in our Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, the October, November, September, October, November issue. I don't know. I can't know what issue, but it's whatever the recent one. August, September, October. There it is. August, September, October issue. Everyone, just go to blendradioandtv.com. Type in Norman Bush. He is incredible. He's an incredible theater background. Incredible, toured the world, and a lot of awards. And also, he started out in Louisville, Kentucky, and served our country. And then he got into this street photography thing where he just took his Leica camera and started photographing the streets of New York for over 50 years.
The posters.
And the playbills of all the theater shows and everything. And
fantastic.
They're making a documentary on him now. And just looking at it, because how they all got tattered, and that's what I think, just that part with the jazz part being in there, I thought that is so cool, because your song, too, it's blues, but it's got those jazz elements as well. And it's perfect, because it just has those vibes of things being around.
But he's a good person. You guys
need to connect. I'm gonna send you stuff on that.
I will definitely look him up. Before I forget, I just want to give a shout out to Matthew Bouchard. He is my nephew in Quebec, and he played the lead guitar on that track that you heard.
Nice.
Yeah, I did the singing and I wrote the song, and but I was up there in Quebec with him several years ago, and I said, "Hey, do you want to play on this track that I'm working on?" And so he did. So just wanted to make sure he got in there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that song, and when the way you say blues, I mean, it's like it's blue, man. This is it. It's
Good.
in there.
Good.
For you? What started the whole world of the arts? Let's put it that way, because you do so many different things. Was it stage? Was it singing? Was it composing for you as a kid? Where did it all start?
Stage. It's definitely stage. My father was an actor in San Francisco Actors Workshop, and I remember I read very early. I was a very early reader. And I could read quite well, but in fact, by the time I was in kindergarten, they brought me to the 6th grade class, and I read the 6th grade book to the 6th grade students. I still remember it because it was like I was really nervous, and it was like they looked all giant to me. But when I was about 4 years old, one of the memories I have was riding home with my dad, and in this, I don't remember what year, probably like a late 40s pickup truck that he had with a really dim dome light on the top of it. And I was holding book for him, A Streetcar Named Desire. I was cueing him. I would check, and he was trying to memorize his lines and drive me home. He would say the line, I would check if it was right, and then I'd give him the next cue. And I remember that, and I thought, and I saw him act once or twice, and that was it. He stopped after that. He was having a family. I have a brother and a sister, younger, and so he got serious, I guess, and did some other things to make a living. But I saw him act, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. So at about 4 or 5 years old, I actually knew already I really would like to try this. I would like to be an actor. Stage is the heartbeat. I would say acting is the heartbeat for me. That's the first and foremost, and that's the thing I spent most of my time on in my life. But then out of that grew all kinds of other interests, including directing and including writing music. I picked up a guitar when I was about 16 or 17, not before that. I never played a note of music, and I started figuring out Beatles songs. And then from there, because I was in the theater, people would ask me, can you put music to this? And I started out doing that, and that led off into a whole serious study of that. And, it's all evolved. I've written about 30 play scores and about 15 film scores, and luckily enough to win some prizes and win some, adulation. But it's just it's a really interesting time to be a composer because the tools are so fantastic in terms of Yeah, I play piano. I'm teaching myself more and more jazz piano, improvising on piano. But once you know the keyboard, you can play anything because the tools are all there. You know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think that's always been the thing. If you learn the keys, you're gonna be able to pick up a guitar, or vice versa between the two. But once you learn the keyboard, all instruments are you can relate to them. You get it. You know, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like a keyboard's a concept.
Yeah.
You know, it can be transferred to any instrument.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
This is such an interesting thing because I know that you've also done some work around the world, and I want to play. Now, I'm going to have to tell me if I get this right. Now, parapluie?
No, yeah, parapluie. That's good. For the rain or umbrella. It's an umbrella.
It's an umbrella. Yeah. So we're going to play that, and then I want to hear about France because I have a feeling you went to France. Am I right?
Okay. You know, I only spent a weekend in France. It was only a weekend in France, and I was terribly sick with the flu the whole time. I forced myself out in the street to walk around a little bit, but I haven't been to France, and I need to go. So thank you for reminding me.
Okay. Well, here's some inspiration. Parapluie.
Yeah.
And there it is, parapluie, umbrella. And thinking about France, you got birds, you got the rain. So there's that little bit of rain in there, and it goes with your painting with this, and people in the streets, and there's someone with an umbrella, and it just is this. It's that change of time, and you can see it's coming. You know, the gold is coming into the green, and to me, it's just. You want to know where everybody's going. Don't you want to go and ask everybody in your painting, like, who are you, what are you doing? Or do you know before you paint them what they're doing?
I like that. Good. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it reminds me, cause when I have to close my eyes when I listen to music. And it reminds me, Lisa and I were in Guernsey, one of the Channel Islands between England and France. And my mom lived there for a little bit. And there was a street that we were on, and I smelled that warm bread from that bakery. We got there early. You know where I'm talking at the top of the street there?
Yeah.
It's all cobblestone.
Yeah.
And it's kind of rainy, but not enough to keep you indoors.
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of coming out of their little shops and cleaning the street in front of their shops. They do it themselves. They don't wait for the city. Awesome.
Of course.
And it kind of it's kind of like a town waking up for business.
Well, Guernsey's very French.
Yeah,
too.
It is, and that's
I like
it. Took me right there.
That's lovely. I love it. Yeah, it's lovely. This painting was done all with a palette knife.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I smell warm bread now, and I want some.
No, I know. It's fresh hot butter.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's it. Can we have wine now?
Yes.
Yes, we
nice
can.
Red wine
we
with
all
some
can.
Warm, hot bread.
I know. But I love the palette knife part of this because that's where it has this fluid motion on the street part. Like it's like there's that shininess, reflectiveness, and then I like it. And then the couple walking off. This is cool. Palette knives. Do you like using a palette knife versus a brush? It's totally different, isn't it?
It's totally different, and I really like it. And I haven't done it for a while. I need to go back to it. I'm going to go back to it. It's a very liberating thing because you cannot be as precise in some ways, which is great. It's like I find the problem with there's many problems with creating good art and creating a good painting, but one of the problems is there's a tendency to get too fussy if you're not careful, and with whatever you're painting, and fussiness gets tight, and tightness begets it's kind of a dead feeling finally. The palette knife makes you you can't really be fussy with a palette knife. It's gonna do what it does a little bit, and so that's a good thing,
It can take over, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Shall I?
Maybe so.
Yeah, no. When we were in South Africa, Nancy took her. She's a wildlife artist primarily, but paints anything. And we traveled South Africa we lived there, but for 2.5 years, went on the road full time, which we're about to do now in May. We're back on the road full time for 3 to 5 to 8 to 10 years, how long we can last. And
really?
Going to national.
Wow.
Yes, yeah, we really are.
Oh yeah.
It's our tour of I Love Your Parks Tour. It's phase 2. We did it for about 3 years and had to stop for 3 years, republish websites, and do all the geeky stuff because of changes, and regroup with what we were doing. Now we got our tour legs on. And we're going to be back on the road. Our quest is to visit every national park unit. We have 417 of them, and cover not only the parks in our magazines, the Parks and Travel magazine and our Big Blend and Radio and TV magazine, but to cover the parks and the communities and all parks, city parks, because we learned we need to cover all parks. They're undercovered. Wow. They need to do that and connect them with the communities. So. And it's our passion. So that's what we're doing in May. So we may be knocking on your door for your Airbnb, just saying. But I'll just throw that out there.
You're welcome.
But,
you're absolutely welcome.
Especially, you said cooking, so that's good. But
cooking,
South
wine,
Africa,
walking in the woods.
Yeah. We want to see that acreage, man. That's it. Nature is it.
It's beautiful.
South Africa, Nancy took her art on the road and painted as a fundraiser for the Cancer Association. And she took me out of school and homeschooled me, and basically I got to go to every museum, landmark, everything, and took me around, and she would paint in public. So a lot of malls in South Africa, here's your mall and your grocery store, and they're connected. And so she would paint. She had this partnership so that painting wasn't reserved just for art galleries and those affairs. It was open to the public. And so she would paint, and a lot of people had never seen this before. And people would gather around her, and that was not necessarily what she wanted. But the one time I was like a 13, 14-year-old salesperson. I'm like, sold. If you look, you're buying it now. But she, at one point, was doing this wolf, and I know listeners have heard this, so excuse us if you've heard this story before, but she was painting wolves in a forest in snow, and she got out the palette
knife,
and the palette knife, and there was this like, ooh, ah, and next thing you know, Nancy's painting. What happened to it?
The wolf, I was doing little bits of where the paws of the wolves hit the snow, a little bit of a puffy, where the foot hits the snow with the palette knife. And every time we did it, the whole crowd went, oh! And so I kept doing it, and all of a sudden there were no wolves left.
That was it. You've got a forest of snow.
It was
really
the trees
weird. Disappeared, but
it got carried. I really got carried away, and it was because I didn't even have room to step back and look. I think I had 2 feet to step back, and there was a rope, and there was all these people, and they just kept going, oh, and maybe they were going, oh, don't do it, Don't.
They were placing bets. We should have raised money through bet place. That would be illegal there.
Really a weird experience.
But the palette.
Yeah, but what I love about it is that you made art a communal and community experience, and that's what it should be. I love that.
Yeah, they're walking around and go, that lady can't paint.
No, I know, but a lot of people, because it was putting it in, artists poo-poo this thing of, painting in a mall/grocery store. But actually, people who had never seen it, and
it was amazing.
She would take custom orders, which you painted, I think, like over 300 paintings or something. It was ridiculous.
387 paintings.
It was ridiculous.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a rough tour, let's put it that way, trying to do sketches at night in hotel rooms,
vintage motorcycles.
Everything.
Wow.
She painted everything.
Moonscapes. I'm a wildlife artist. That's it. No, portraits. Oh, I did the worst portraits. They're so ugly.
Yeah, people are hard. See, that's the thing. You've got
hard.
people. Yeah, people are difficult. And I love that what you're doing, Jeffrey, is you're putting I think part of the classical style, like when you talk about the masters, you have some of that resemblance. There's certain paintings, like Anticipation, the lady looking out to the water. Just the clothing she's wearing, this movement. Again, she has this movement like a dancer. And that movement, you look at the clothing where you don't see that now, but it takes you back to a time. And so it's kind of like you want to know who she was. What did her sailor go off to sea, or like somebody, or is a kid just paddling around in the lake?
It's an opening to a movie.
That's exactly.
I think it's because you worked in film that you have that already. You understand that.
Exactly, you're creating stories.
I call it the 360. Like it's full circle, and it's really hard to do. It's really hard to do.
Well, I want to ask you, Jeffrey, because you have a lot of people walking in your paintings.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you one of my favorite questions, because we have this Facebook group that we started because we're trying to get people to take a walk, to put the phones down, be observant, breathe fresh air, have a conversation. Yeah. So if you're going to take a walk, a 1-hour walk anywhere, where would it be? Who would you walk with? It could be someone alive or passed on that you want to just get information, or someone you want to connect with, reconnect with. It could be anyone, fictional if you want. Who are you going to take that walk with? And we want to know what the conversation's about, because we want gossip.
Wow, that is such a wide open question. For some reason, I'll tell you who jumps to my mind, and I wouldn't have thought of this. First of all, the place where I am, I walk almost every day, so where I am absolutely ridiculously stunning. There's 100 waterfalls around here, and wineries and craft beer, and it's like amazing.
Cool.
And I walk I have a quarter of a mile driveway, so I can walk down my driveway, and it's a beautiful walk. I walk all the time. But where I would walk is at the ocean. I grew up 4 blocks from the ocean, 44th Avenue in San Francisco, and I could hear the sea 24 hours a day, and that's in me. I would walk along the beach, probably not on a sunny day, maybe a cloudy day, or maybe even a windy day. And the person that jumped to my head when you asked whoever it would be is Martin Luther King, Jr. And I would walk with him, and I would talk with him, and I'd ask him, obviously, about his belief system. I would want to hear him preach because he knows the Bible. I would want to hear him talk about nonviolence. I would want to hear him talk about race relations. And if it were today, I would like to hear him talk about how far we have or have not come from his time to our time and what challenges lie ahead for us. And that's who jumps to my mind.
Wow. Well said and perfect. Yeah, I agree. Can I come too? I'll bring the bread and the wine.
I want to bring
you
Geronimo.
got it. We're all going to share.
I want to bring Geronimo.
Geronimo and Martin Luther King in one conversation.
There's a mix.
Yeah. I love that.
They might tell us something we don't want to hear.
I know. And I know. That's exactly it. Such a pleasure. This conversation, Jeffrey, it's an amazing conversation, amazing work, music, just a joy. I want to encourage everyone again to go to your website. So it's Bihr, so JBIHR.FASO.com. What is the FASO about? I want to know.
Fine Art Studio Online. This is actually a beautiful website that was created by a really good artist who was frustrated because he couldn't find a good website. So he designed his own, and there are many templates there. So it's easy to kind of make a professional-looking website without having to sell your art to somebody else or go into coding and try to code your own, which is difficult.
There's
so that's
coding and wine don't go long. Let's put it that way.
I have other word for coding.
There you go.
I really do. I have my own special word
That's when
for
you need
coding.
to go to moonshine.
I got my own word for it.
I want to give a shout out to the National Parks Arts Foundation for supporting this segment. Really one of the most amazing organizations out there, putting artists in national parks and different park units around. It's growing into around the world, but across the country, places like Chaco Cultural National Historical Site, really the Chaco culture in New Mexico, the Aztec ruins, dry tortugas off in the Florida Keys, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, all these amazing park experiences, Big Bend, Gettysburg, and also they have a special program just for veterans, military veterans. Incredible.
Wow.
So check it out, nationalparksartsfoundation.org, and tune into our First Friday Arts program with them every first Friday at bigblendradio.com. Jeffrey, we're going to play Storm Surge to close the show. Do you want to tell everybody about that? Because it goes with another mysterious painting.
Yes, it's a painting that looks out at the sea and looks out at the waves coming in, and it's going on night. It's not night yet, but it's coming. And as the storm is approaching, it's rough and it's exciting and it's turbulent and it's nerve-wracking and it's dangerous, but it's also fascinating. And they're in the middle of this little composition. There's a moment where it's calm. There's a moment where the storm isn't as heavy as it was, and then it comes back again. And maybe you'll listen for that.
And you know what? It looks like there could be like Hawaii volcanoes there. It looks like there could be like little flashes of
it's not bad.
lava flying in there.
Yeah.
You never know.
Oh, good. I like it.
Yeah.
You never know.
That little bit of red in there. I like that.
Red.
Everyone again.
That's right.
jbird.faso.com is where to go, and here it is, a Storm Surge. Don't forget, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. You can listen as shows go live or anytime later at your leisure. So bigblendradio.com is where to go. Thanks so much, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thanks, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Nancy. It's been a pleasure and an honor. And bless you on your trip. Safe travels and exciting times ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. It's going to be fun, that's for sure. And we're promised to behave.
We're not behaving.
Nope.
Never happened.
Nope. You can find us on a 1-hour walk in the woods with a bottle of champagne,
that's right,
cheese, and bread.
That's it.
That's the tour.
There it is.
Until the storm comes. So here it is, everybody, Storm Surge.